Since 1983, FAME has helped business and education work for Maine. Contact the authority, the Finance Authority of Maine.
Welcome. This is our Afterthoughts segment where we keep our guests around from our broadcast program and for some little extra discussion and hopefully some more candid comments that can only be seen on the web. With us today we have Gary Goodrich, who's the president of BioProcessing in Portland, and he's also the president of the Biotech Association of Maine, and Lisa Martin, who's the executive director of the Manufacturers Association of Maine. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, those first segments fly by, so
They do.
I know. So I know we want to talk about some more. One of the things I wanted to start with was just in general talking about kind of that the impression that the manufacturing is dead in Maine. You know, you hear that all the time, and wherever you go, you hear it. And I'm sure you pound your fist on the table and say, no, it's not. But how does that impact your ability then to get the recognition you need in Augusta or from policymakers or others for that matter? Is it impacting you negatively, or is it good to keep a low profile? I'll start with you, Lisa.
Well, certainly, if you take a bird's eye view of the manufacturing sector, within that, all the various sub-sectors of manufacturing, again, we have biotech, that's a growth industry, biotech manufacturing, composites manufacturing, very high growth, food processing, and so on and so forth. There's some of the more traditional sectors that really do struggle with the image that the jobs are no longer there. Why should I spend any time going, to work in those kinds of places?
Right. How about in biotech? Is it good to kind of be under the radar sometimes?
I guess it's under the radar because of its overall impact,
okay.
Where maybe it's only 1% of the employees in the state, but 5,000 employees is not a small number. It has, I think it has some impact, and there's been a history. Even if you look at the last, if you take say 2003 to 2008 as a 5-year segment, the biotech employment increased 18% in that 5 years, and the state in that 5-year period, that's the whole state, increased by about 2%. So it's really performing very, very well. And yeah, it is hard to get noticed, but it is one of the biotechnology sectors that's been recognized as a growth industry in the state. And there has been the R&D, there's been some R&D bonds that have gone to the biomedical. That I think has strengthened that portion of the biotechnology industry.
We were talking before the show too, and I know you two were also about kind of the number of associations, organizations that are out there that support this larger kind of manufacturing-related industry that we talked about. Manufacturers Association of Maine, Biotech Association of Maine, the Composites Group, the Aerospace Group, I'm sure food producers, food manufacturing group, etc. Are we stepping on each other's toes? Are we working together? Is that good or bad? Where are we going with all of that?
Interestingly, all of us, based on the needs of the industry, those associations were set up. Back in the '60s, when the Maine Metal Products was set, they joined forces for a particular reason, to go out and get contract work collectively. Today, we all work very closely together on a number of different issues. We work with Tech Maine, because we have companies in the aerospace. We need that IT aspect of a lot of things that we're doing.
That's common to all of them.
It's a lot of overlap.
There is a lot of overlap, but we do work very, very closely together. We're working on a number of different strategies with a lot of the different organizations to collaborate on a number of things. The most important thing is that we need to focus on the needs of our members. And whatever the needs of our members are, then we go out and figure out how to pull those resources and collaborative brain power together to effectively help those employees and the employers of our sectors.
Is there competition among them? I mean, I understand you're working together, but do they have to be members? Are you members of more than one association?
I am.
Or how does that work?
My business is. But I find that we've really discovered over the last couple of years that companies need to sort of be comfortable with the association that they want to be with. It doesn't mean that they can't benefit from other associations. So we have to recognize that sort of, and that's a process. We're going to have to go through a process to collaborate more as we go along. And there's a recognition of that now, I think, that I see that maybe wasn't here a few years ago.
Okay, yeah. I wanted to ask a question about kind of, can we compete with other states, with Europe? I'm looking at the wind energy thing. I mean, I was just looking at some of the notes for this. For example, in the Business and Investment News article, GE has announced its plan to invest approximately 340 million euros to develop or expand its wind turbine manufacturing, engineering, and service facilities in 4 European countries. Are we going to be able to compete with that? Are we, are we ever going to? How are we going to attract investment like that to Maine? Can we, Lisa?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Wait a minute.
Who do I sound like?
Get the bumper sticker. But how?
I certainly think one of the main advantages of Maine is our workforce,
Okay.
and the work ethic that people have here. It is known around the world, made in Maine. That is truly to our advantage. We need to do more around attracting those kinds of things. We do struggle on the investment side in terms of larger investments here in the state, but I think that we actually can do it. Now, we may not do it on the mega side.
Yep.
In terms of what some of our dreams are on a number of different fronts, on the wind energy side and the aerospace side and so on and so forth. But we have all the components to make a difference for the companies here in Maine. That's what I think.
And the access to capital, once again, capital and markets and workers.
well-
Right.
Access to capital, is it there for the companies that are looking to expand, that have that next great idea, who are ready to move into innovation?
That's
I don't see it. It's not certainly as strong as it
Okay.
is in areas
That's
like in
right.
Boston.
Right.
Not that there aren't angel investors here, Maine Angels and,
Yep.
and others
Yep.
that help, but they have to be selective, and there is a certain scope. I don't know. Maybe some things like some R&D. Expansion of R&D tax credits in
Yep.
certain areas.
Okay.
I mean, maybe there's a few things that can be done, but as far as that big investment money, it's a little bit more difficult. It's why biotechnology, for example, doesn't have more IDEXs out there. Manufacturers here in Maine are not were not developed by venture capital. They were bootstrapped and they were manufacturing. They make a product and they sell it, and they grow on that basis.
Governor's candidates, I want to make sure you have a chance to tell them what you need, and by the time this airs, the primaries will be over, thank goodness, and we'll be into the heavy-duty election season coming up. So what do they need, what do these, not only the governor, but the legislature this fall, once they're re-elected, or elected rather, what do they need to do to really sustain and grow manufacturing in Maine, especially the smaller size?
Well, I have one
What's on
idea.
your wish list, yeah.
Well, one of the wish lists is, and not to get back to the R&D tax credits, but they have helped.
R&D
us.
tax credits.
Yes, they
Okay.
have. But I think what needs to be done is there needs to be an extension of those types of credits to where those credits are designed for development, research and development, and the development of commercialized products. So what you need to have is you need to have something where the commercialized, you can actually have some incentives for getting those commercialized credits to market, and for some period of time have some credit for that, because it'll drive more, because it's the products that are sustainable, and those are the ones that'll bring in more income and will grow a company.
Okay.
I think we learned a great deal from this past recession.
Yes? What did we learn?
What did we learn? We learned that the margins that companies are experiencing are so very low that the less we can do to infringe more costs on these companies, the more they can keep people employed.
And what one thing should be cut? Are you talking about a cost that comes from government to a regulation to a company, or is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about generally some of the bills that were introduced that fortunately, for the most part, were not implemented because of the recession. Doesn't mean that they're not going to come back. The more costs that the
So
state
paid sick leave went
and the
through or something
legislature,
like that.
correct.
That would be the difference of a company being able to make it or not. So if you're
Absolutely.
still-
When those costs are incurred, what ends up happening is people get laid off.
well, maybe we'll see that on a bumper sticker somewhere. I don't know. That's a big bumper sticker.
That is.
We got to work on the soundbite on that.
We'll work on it.
Okay, we're going to have to stop there. Thanks for sticking around
Thank
for the
you very
Afterthoughts. I
much.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. This was great.
It's enjoyable.
Thanks you all.